at the last engage, I was able to be there for a little girl. I got a phone call on that Saturday, and someone called and they were like, hey, you know, this happened to this girl up country in Kangema. Last night, she was raped. She's 9 years old. And I came to engage, and I was waiting for a friend of mine, Chemutai, who's here tonight. And I was sitting in the car fighting back these tears, and I was like, okay, I can't let it out now because, you know, this starts in about 45 minutes. But I just felt this need, and I was like, let me hold it in. I'll cry on my way up country, which is what I did. Because I was thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? But I have to be there. So next morning I was there, 9 a.m. And I got there and I was like, where's the girl? Where are her parents? And she came out, you know, she kind of just sort of head hung, her hair not done. And I just hugged her. I just held her. And she leaned into it. You know, ordinarily, if I went up there, she wouldn't have been that free with me. But she needed this. And I told her that I love her. And I told her that she was a special girl. I reminded her that she was a sweet little thing, and that what had happened shouldn't have happened, and that it wasn't her fault. And I told her that she shouldn't feel ashamed. And I kind of kept saying, you know, maybe you don't understand this right now, but you'll understand it at some point. And then her parents, the dad's head was hung like this. And I said, listen, this wasn't your fault. There's nothing that you could have done about it. Because this guy raped their child when they were working, and he was supervising them. So I said, this is not your fault, and you can't feel shame for this. And I told them my story. And I said, I know how you feel, because I've gone through this myself. I know exactly how you feel. So the mother was like, oh no, you know, she responded to my tears like feeling sorry for me. And I was like, no, I've come through this. I'm crying because this is so sad that this has happened to your child. So after I spoke to the parents, I said, we're going to have a meeting with your colleagues. And I called all the other people that they work with. And it was interesting because I said, let's form a circle. And somehow she ended up at the top of the circle, kind of like in the middle. We were all sort of facing her. And we had a really open conversation. And I said, listen, this family needs your love. So there's nothing like using this to chokoza them. There's nothing like using this to shame them. You have to love them. And this girl, when she needs to talk, you make yourself available for her to talk. Because the time will come when she does need to talk. But there will be no secrets here. Because the thing with the monster of shame is that it only exists when it's a secret. You know, and this is what we're conditioned to do. You don't talk about this stuff. People, I'm sure there are people here in this audience that have probably gone through something similar to what I went through, or have had a different kind of trauma in your life. And I know people approaching their 70s where their childhood sexual abuse is like the topmost thing on their mind, and they're 70 because they never had the space to heal, which all starts with having a conversation. Where do you have that conversation? Not everybody has access to all these therapies, and actually it took me a while to find the right therapy. It's that friend that you have, that person who can create a safe space, which is no judgment, no recourse, none of this like, oh, I know your secret, so if you don't do this, none of that. And unconditional love. Through all of this therapy, I finally came to a place of, I am worthy, I am adequate, I am complete, I am whole. And I realized that these events, these types of situations, they take that away from you. So for perpetrators who are listening to this is the damage that you do to an entire life. People become reclusive, you don't socialize well, the incidence of lung disease, heart disease goes up because of this kind of thing. Started by one event. For you in the audience, parents, educators, guardians, it happens like this. I wouldn't say that I wasn't being well taken care of. You know, I lived in a leafy burb, beautiful home. But these predators, they watch. And they can see, they know what's the routine here. Okay, when is she going to be alone? When can I take he or she, this child? And it doesn't take that long to do the deed. So my advice is, have this conversation. Because here in Kenya, most of us have domestic staff of one type or another. It could be the watchman in a complex, it could be your housekeeper, it could be your cook, whoever. And not to get paranoid, but as a coach, this is what I do. I create awareness, and I help people take responsibility. #MeToo showed us that this stuff is happening everywhere. A lot of people are going through it as adults. Loads of people have gone through it as children. So you have to have this conversation, which might look like, oh, we've hired somebody new in our household. So, little Wanja, I want to introduce you to so-and-so. This is my daughter. You will take care of her in this compound and whatever. And if you ever touch my child, ... You know, if you ever touch my child, and to let the child know that there are no secrets. Don't ever let an adult come here and tell you to do something and it's a secret. And the thing is, for me, what I realized also as I was going through all of this therapy, and I got to a stage where I was like, I've got to make a plan. I've got to sort of make a statement, commit myself to something. And I committed myself to walking the journey of fulfillment in my life, because I don't believe that we're here to be anything other than fulfilled. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that we're here to be disconnected, doubtful, full of self-doubt, no self-esteem. We didn't come in for that. So walking this journey of fulfillment is about walking the journey of life monster-free. No monsters. And for people here who've been through this, I just want you to know, because it almost feels like an impossible task. You know, the thing for me was that I just kept trying and trying and trying and trying. In a world where nobody could quite imagine that I could be going through anything other than living this wonderful jet-setty life. But I never gave up on myself. I come so close to giving up on myself, and I wouldn't give up on myself. And for me, a long time ago, the extras just never meant anything. Like, I know that also to be a truth about life. They don't really mean much. But are you fulfilled? Are you fulfilled? And if I can do it, you can do it. And together, we can.